करो रख दो
disturbance. Other sound. Hello, check. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, check, check. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi, hi, hi. Hello, hi, hi. Hello. 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 Hello.
Seek the kind permission of the chair to commence the proceedings of the Thank you, Lordship. In observance of the spirit of nationalism, which runs through all of us as a common binding thread, I request all to please rise for the national anthem. To take your seats now. Thank you. Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Mohammed Makri, Chief Justice, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Honorable Mr. Justice Tashi Rafsar, Judge, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, and Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee. Honorable Judges of the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Respected Ms. Sheetal Nanda, Commissioner Secretary, Department of Social Welfare, Government of J&K. Respected Ms. Soledad Ferrero, Chief of Child Protection, UNICEF India. Officers of the Registry of the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Esteemed resource persons, distinguished invitees, participants attending the program physically as well as through virtual mode from Kashmir and Ladakh, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and my greetings to everyone participating in the two-day state-level consultation on the implementation of POSCO Act 2012, organized by the Juvenile Justice Committee of the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh in association with the Department of Social Welfare, Government of Union Territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, and supported by UNICEF. Ladies and gentlemen, a ray of light rekindles the hope of an enlightened path leading to a bright future and motivates us to leave the darkness and step into the luminous world of knowledge and learning. I request the dignitaries from the dais to commence the program by lighting the ceremonial lamp. Plants are eternal gifts of nature that symbolize trust and hope for good times. Specifically, the bamboo plant signifies happiness, good luck, prosperity, and longevity. Today, the bamboo sapling is also symbolic of our respect for the honorable dignitaries on the dais. I request Mr. M.K. Sharma, Member Secretary, J&K Legal Services Authority, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, to present bamboo sapling to Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Mohammed Maki, Chief Justice, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Haq Nawaz Zargar, Registrar Vigilance, to present bamboo sapling to Honorable Mr. Justice Kashi Rasta, Judge High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, and Chairperson Juvenile Justice Committee. Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Muzammil Ahmed, Consultant UNICEF, to present sapling to Ms. Sheetal Nanda, Commissioner Secretary, Department of Social Welfare, Government of India. Thank you. I request Ms. Harvinder Kaur, Mission Director, Directorate of Mission Vatsalya, JNK, to present bamboo sapling to Ms. Soledad Herrero, Chief of Child Protection, UNICEF, India. Thank you. I now request Mr. Amit Kumar Gupta, Member Secretary, Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court of JNK and Ladakh, to present the welcome address.
A very good morning to all. Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Mohammed Maki, Chief Justice, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Honorable Mr. Justice Tashir Abastan, Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee. Honorable Ms. Justice Sidhu Sharma. Honorable Mr. Justice Rajneesh Oswal, Member, Juvenile Justice Committee. Honorable Mr. Justice Puneet Gupta. Honorable Mr. Justice Mohan Lal. Honorable Mr. Justice Mohammad Akram Chaudhary, Member, Juvenile Justice Committee. Honorable Mr. Justice Rahul Bharti. Honorable Mr. Justice Wasim Sadiq Nargal. Honorable Mr. Justice Rajesh Sekhri. Ms. Sheetal Nanda, Commissioner Secretary, Social Welfare Department. Ms. Soledad Herrero, Chief of Child Protection, UNICEF India. Mr. D.C. Rana, Advocate General, and other law officers of government of UTs of J&K and Ladakh. Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, Registrar General, Mr. Ejaz Ahmad Khan, Principal Secretary, officers of High Court Registry, learned resource persons, Vice Chancellors of different universities, officers of civil and police administration of duties of J&K and Ladakh, judicial officers, law students, participating delegates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, present physically and virtually. As the member secretaries committee, High Court of J&K and Ladakh, it's my proud privilege to extend on my behalf and on behalf of Juvenile Justice Committee a warm welcome to one and all in this 2 days consultation meet on implementation of POSCO Act 2012 in the UTs of J&K as well as Ladakh. One of the greatest leaders of modern times, Mr. Nelson Mandela, said, and I quote, "Our children are our greatest treasure. They are our future. Those who abuse them tear at the fabric of our society and weaken our nation." Unquote. This consultation program, organized by JJC in collaboration with Social Welfare Department and UNICEF India, is first of its kind, being held in both the UTs, as the earlier programs focused on the implementation of Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2015, which wholly concentrated on children in need of care and protection, whereas the present program is an opportunity for multiple stakeholders to highlight good practices, take stock, and identify critical issues for more effective implementation of POSCO Act with an outlook on restorative justice and victim-centric approaches. As the year 2022 completes 10 years of implementation of POSCO Act, the aim and object of this 2 days program is to review the progress made and the challenges met so far, as well as the opportunities grabbed after implementation of the Act. The implementation of POSCO Act needs collective endeavors of the different departments and stakeholders. So the delegates in the program have been nominated from diverse fields like judiciary, police, health, education, social welfare, legal services, members of civil society, etc. Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Mohammad Magre, Chief Justice, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir, has been kind enough to accept our invitation to inaugurate this consultation meet and is present amidst us. We all are aware that the cause of children has always been dear to His Lordship. And I am sure that with His Lordship's gracious presence and inauguration, this consultation meet will deliver vibrant action plan for better implementation of POSCO Act in future. On behalf of JJ Committee, I once again extend a respectful welcome to His Lordship. Honorable Mr. Justice Tashir Abastan, Judge High Court of J&K and Ladakh and Chairperson Juvenile Justice Committee, has extended all support to us in organizing this program. His Lordship's active involvement has materialized in the form of this program. We fondly welcome you, sir. We are honored with the presence of Honorable Mr. Justice Rajneesh Oswal and Honorable Mr. Justice Akram Chaudhary, Honorable Members Juvenile Justice Committee, who have been a constant guide in devising the nitty-gritties of the consultation meet. Ms. Sheetal Nanda, Commissioner Secretary, Social Welfare Department, has been actively involved in the protection of child rights in the UT of J&K. We also welcome you, ma'am. With us is present today Ms. Soledad Herrero, Chief of Child Protection, UNICEF India. I also extend you, ma'am, a wholehearted welcome in the city of temples. I extend a hearty welcome to all the honorable judges of High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh who have spared their most precious and valuable time to be with us today in the inaugural program. I wholeheartedly extend a most affectionate welcome to all the delegates who have been picked up from various departments so that we can have better deliberations and interactions during the program. I wish them great sessions ahead. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Ms. Soledad Herrero, Chief of Child Protection, UNICEF India, for her remarks. Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Mohammed Magre, Chief of Justice, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Honorable Mr. Justice Tashi Rafsan, Chairperson of Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh.
and other honorable judges of High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, Ms. Shetal Nanda, Commissioner Secretary for Social Welfare Department, Worthy Director, General Police of Jammu and Kashmir, esteemed secretaries to the government of Jammu and Kashmir, other members from JJBs, CWCs, other government institutions that are here present, and members of other organizations, civil society organizations. On behalf of UNICEF, we really want to appreciate of giving the opportunity to allow us to continue accompanying the efforts that Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh are taking forward for a holistic protection of the children in this region. It is the third time that I have the privilege to actually accompany the consultation in this territory. And it's a special pleasure for me to be here today to see also a children's rights champion as Mr. Margaret being elevated as the Chief of Justice. And this is a recognition of how high the children's rights agenda is in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. And of course, of Mr. Rapstan, another children's rights champion, to also be elevated to be the chairperson going forward and leading all these efforts. As the, yes, please just clap. As the secretary was mentioning, this is a very special consultation because we are going to have a particular focus on a very critical, complex, sensitive, delicate piece of legislation that tries to protect some of the children that deserve the most. That, of course, is the children that are victims of sexual abuses and offenses. We mark indeed the 10th year of the enactment of the POSCO, the Prevention of Child Sexual Offenses. And I think it's only right to take a stock of what are the things that have worked well and what are the areas that we need to focus on. We do need to recognize from the onset the appreciation that India as a country gives itself a dedicated legislation to deal with this issue, which before, as we know, as everybody here present knows very well, it was dealt by the penal criminal code, which it was not enough and sufficient, right, to protect victims of these offenses. Also put in place important measures in place. It set up children courts. It made this issue gender neutral. It placed the onus of the mens rea away from the victims, and many other efforts were put in place. But we know, of course, that the challenges remain. But before we look into that, I would really like to take the opportunity of this introductory remarks to collectively reflect why we are here and why such legislation is necessary. The truth is that sexual violence knows of no boundaries. It occurs in every country, in every society, in every setting where children are. It occurs within families. It occurs in the school settings. It occurs in playgrounds, in community settings. We know too well that most of the perpetrators, the global evidence points at 90%, the NCRB data points at 95% of the number of perpetrators that are either family members or well known by the victims. Globally, the statistics are staggering. Globally, it is estimated that around 2 out of 10 children will experience sexual abuse in the course of their lives. And whether these are only estimates and it will never be known, the national statistics point to similar data. The recent NHS, National Family Household Service, indicates that around 60% of adolescent girls report having experienced some sort of violence also during the course of the adolescence. The sexual offenses are and directly violates any sense of safety, of intimacy, of worth of the victim. And the evidence of the impact of sexual offense in the lives of the children is also overwhelming. I'm just going to use the words of a study that we conducted with Hill, UNICEF and Hill in Maharashtra. And the study found that among the child sexual survivors, there was a systematic pattern, and I quote, of severe self-esteem issues, behavioral disturbances, substance abuse, social and suicidal tendencies, confusion, and guilt. And the list just goes on and on. The truth is that there is that the mental health system, and I know that there is a session that will talk much more about this, is filled with experiences of adverse traumatic experiences, many times related to sexual abuses, that develop in the course of their lives into mental health disorders. I do want to recognize once again the tremendous effort that it has been taken at the national level and as well as in Jammu and Kashmir, and I'm sure this consultation will take stock of good progress in terms of setting up POSCO courts, one-stop centers, also capacity building initiatives. But we know also that the challenges remain. Perhaps the most important challenge, and the one that we should keep it always in mind as a backdrop of the issue that we have at hand, is the SS issues, is the issues of stigma, the issues of secrecy, the issues of shame. It is sad to recognize that many times the shame that a victim carry is actually bigger and larger than the shame of the perpetrator. And we need to start questioning ourselves, what are the harmful social norms that allow this situation to prevail? And that leads to a constant revictimization of children victims. We need to also recognize that there is still a lot, underpinned by this, there is a lot of punitive approaches that tends to be prioritized when dealing with child sexual offenses, also informed by misconceptions of what the justice system should prioritize, and misconceptions that is the honor of the family and the honor of the community, as opposed to the right to integrity, right to life of the individual victim that needs to be prioritized. Another dimension, and I've seen in the agenda that is going to be covered through the discussion, is the complex intersection of the current legal framework that, of course, intends to be protective towards the children victims, and also the current regulatory framework around the age of consent. We know that in the current status, many of the cases within the POSCO sphere are actually so-called consented relationships. And again, I'll use the statistics of a study that we conducted recently with MPOL and UNICEF in 3 of the states. And out of a universe of 7,400 sentences analyzed, 24% of them were actually consented relationships. If we look at what is the results of the process, we'll see that large majority, over 90% of these cases end up in acquittal. So we also need to reflect from the perspective of process efficiency, and what is the benefit of channeling some of these cases through the legal route, which end up, it's overstretching a constrained already system with sort of some level of futility if we consider what is the level of acquittal that we find at the end. Of course, needless to say that nobody is suggesting that we need to be abide by the current legal framework, but it is important that we have a sincere reflection around this area. And this also connects with the issues of pendency, which we know that are very high, both national level, as well as in Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh. Now, let me turn, of course, to solutions, or what could be some of the priorities to take forward an effective implementation of the POSCO Act. Of course, everything starts and ends in ensuring that the victim is at the center of the response. Only by really focusing on the full sense of the principles of restorative justice, we will be able to really take the spirit of the POSCO to the fullest. Restorative justice implies that there is a full rehabilitation, compensation, counseling systems that really address the harm that the sexual offense brought to the victim. And it needs to also holistically recognize the stigma that needs to be turned apart for that victim to be fully restored. Second, the POSCO provides a good architecture to address issues of sexual violence, but the architecture will always be as good as the parts that form the architecture are, and as the human power that fills that architecture. We really need to invest capacities, or invest effort in building the capacities, a capacity building that should be institutionalized. And I know that there is a lot of institutions here today with a mandate on training that really need to take as a priority the POSCO elements of it, to train the full spectrum of actors that are involved. More than anywhere else, perhaps, we do need specialized cadres that are able to deal with the complexities of sexual offenses across the different disciplines, as the Secretary mentioned before. And finally, we do need to have a priority to really converge and have multidisciplinary action. And I think, again, the fact that members of police, judiciary, social welfare, I think health, education departments, civil society organizations, we are all coming together. And even I'm seeing the media that has a very important role. Only when we come together, we'll be able to address this. We do need to particularly recognize the importance of the convergence of the child protection system as well. The Juvenile Justice Act, Mission Battalion, Missions Act, coming together specifically, as well as making sure that the specialized services for women and children victims, they inform each other, they are well connected, and there are also age-specific protocols when dealing with gender-based violence. I will only conclude by saying that there's been way too many lives that have been shattered and too many childhoods that have been broken by child sexual offenses. So let's really walk away from this room with a full determination and commitment to make a change and curb the issues of child sexual violence, and also making sure that any children victim puts the traumatic experience in the past and can look at the future with a bright-eyed and capable, and with the dignity and sort of mental stand to be able to grasp the aspirations and fulfill their life without being affected by the traumatic experience from the past. I do want to recognize once again the effort and the commitment of all the stakeholders that are here in this room. But again, a sincere and particular thanks to the role that the High Courts continue to provide in leading the fulfillment of the children's rights agenda. As we've said many times, children are the greatest assets of any nation, any society, any community. And I've had the privilege to travel to both Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh in the past, and I do know the strong sense of community and strong sense of commitment of this society towards children's rights. I do hope that we walk away with very specific, tangible priorities that will allow us to take this agenda forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. The issues of concern, priorities, and the challenges in the implementation of the POSCO Act, as highlighted by you, have given us a food for thought in the forthcoming sessions. I now request Ms. Sheetal Nanda, Commissioner Secretary, Department of Social Welfare, Government of J&K, to please address the event.
Honorable Chief Justice, who has also been present. Chief Justice Rapstar, Honorable Justice High Court, and who are present. Chief Justice, sorry, Chief of Child Protection. All the honorable judges who are present here today. Together. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Juvenile Justice Committee High Court of India for organizing this public consultation on the POSCO Act. I think first such conference that I was consultation that also Justice Act and now this, and I think that the committee is constantly making efforts to ensure that in areas of concern, the important legislation and implementation of all. There are constant workshops on that, consultations on that, and I have seen that it has always been a very upcoming and forthcoming participant. So consultations, such workshops are very, very important. But when just like this, just said, first of all, we really need to reflect on why did the need for such a legislation arise. I think when a country needs to enact a legislation to prevent sexual offences against children, then it is high time we realize that the society as a whole is unable to protect its children from such offences. I think while this workshop is also aimed at the same thing, to emphasize the whole society and all the functionaries of the government specifically to the fact that we are increasing getting reports of crimes against children, of which of course sexual offences form a very major part. So it is high time we realize that this needs our special attention and we need to have special efforts to ensure that we minimize the instances in the first place where POSCO Act should be applicable. And then second, when such instances do occur, we need to be meticulous and swift and ensure that the provisions of the POSCO Act are implemented in letter and spirit. The last word, because there are so many details in the POSCO Act, which apart from ensuring that the perpetrator gets punished, it has even laid down things like what should be the approach towards the person who has been, whom the offense has been committed, and it says child-friendly approach. It also lays down the timelines within which we have to complete the investigation and in the entire process of delivering justice for that matter in 1 year, and so on and so forth. What I mean to say is that there are not only penal provisions in the Act, it lays down even how the medical examination is to be conducted.
Even how the statement is to be recorded. And why so? Because we're dealing with a special class of people against whom offenses are being conducted, which is our children. Please put yourself in the place of those parents against whose children of whom are being, whose modesties are being violated, who are being kidnapped, who are being abducted, all kinds of crimes against children. So when we place ourselves in their shoes, we realize that why this act was required and why it is incumbent upon us that we take every step to ensure that it is implemented, like I said, meticulously and swiftly. Justice has to be delivered swiftly, quickly, and not, it should not be allowed to take its time. Ms. Soliza did mention about stigma, very important, and very nicely put by her that the shame that is attached to the crime is more towards the person against whom the crime has been committed rather than the person who's committing the crime. And for this, not only we as government functionaries, but as society, we are all responsible for this. Have you seen, I was just going through a few articles of the Act yesterday and day before. And have you seen the kind of pictures that newspapers put when they write about these acts or legislations or whatever? There would be a small girl, normally, not even a boy, who's sitting with her head down and crying. And there would be, horrible pictures around it as if something very wrong has happened to her. Yes, wrong has happened. But then he or she is not supposed to be ashamed of that. So one, maybe if we do have any feedback mechanism here, I would request the committee to please put in place a mechanism to ensure that such photographs are not given in the newspapers. They should rather show a victim hanging, maybe, rather than showing a girl sitting and crying. It starts from there. That is our mentality. कि वो लड़की जिसके against crime हुआ है, she is the one who is ashamed of it. But I'm sorry, she's not, and she's not supposed to be. And we must carry this in our mind, not as, like I said, government functionaries, but the society as a whole. Time limit I have mentioned. Legal aid, very, very important. And I'm sure the legal, the UT level legal aid society and the DALSAs are doing a wonderful job in that. And again, I think that the provision of legal aid should be very quick, very appropriate, and to the best quality possible. And again, all of us have to be together in that, we as Social Welfare Department and the legal structure. Then, like I said, I always see a lack of sensitivity towards the issue. As already mentioned, it is a very sensitive and delicate issue. And we tend to deal with it as any other routine investigation or crime, which I think has to be done away with. I hope this workshop, this consultation will be able to emphasize this point enough and make all the participants realize that this is not just another crime. This is not theft. ये कोई चोरी नहीं हो गई है कि हम इसको normal way में deal करेंगे. This is a crime in which a sexual offense has taken place, one, and then two, it has taken place against a child, which is even more grievous. So keeping that in mind, let's deal with such issues with a lot of sensitivity and of course according to the provisions of the Act, which will be dealt with in detail in the today's conference. increasingly, like I said, the data suggests that there is an increase in these crimes. I think NCRB says that there has been a 16% increase over the last year, or maybe over 20, in 21 over 20, which is substantial. And like I said, पहले हमें इस बात की जरूरत पड़ी कि ऐसा एक एक्ट हो, और अब हमें इस बात की जरूरत पड़ रही है कि इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा एफर्ट्स उठाएं. So I think the day we make this act irrelevant, कि हमें इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने की जरूरत ही ना पड़े, that would be the day when we would say that we will really be able to implement all the provisions of POSCO. And I hope कि जो team आज हमारे पास यहाँ बैठी है, and those who are with us online, would be able to achieve that, because we as a society are responsible for that. Every life matters, and especially children matter even more. So consider yourself in their place and think कि उस बच्चे को कैसा लगता होगा जब उसके अगेंस्ट एक सेक्सुअल ऑफेंस होता है. सोचिए, उसकी तरह सोचिए, उसके पेरेंट्स की तरह सोचिए, अपने आप को वहां तक लेके जाइए. आई एम श्योर देन we would not need these consultations anymore, and they would only be required to acquaint you with the nitty-gritties of the law. But sensitization, awareness, बच्चों में awareness. I would love if UNICEF could also organize a few workshops with us for parents and children also, for that matter, regarding good touch, bad touch, how they should be able to recognize the signs of somebody who is likely to commit a sexual offense against them. इस तरह की workshops भी करने की जरूरत है, so that our children are aware and they report. And the second thing is to give them confidence to report. हम वो confidence अपने बच्चों को नहीं दे पाते हैं. They keep quiet, they don't tell anybody, and then after that their parents keep quiet and they don't tell anybody. And the societal pressure like कि चुप रहो, किसी को मत बताओ. The societal pressure should be just the opposite. बिल्कुल चुप मत रहो, सबको बताओ, and please ensure कि ऐसा कभी दोबारा ना हो. So I think that is our responsibility, and that is how we should look at it. And I once again thank you to all for organizing this conference and having us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Your concern for child rights and child security would encourage all endeavors for holistic justice to our younger generation of the population. May I now humbly invite Honorable Mr. Justice Tashi Rapsa, Chairperson Juvenile Justice Committee, for Lordship's special address.
Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Mohammed Magre, Chief Justice, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, my esteemed colleagues, sister and brother judges, Mr. D.C. Rena, Learned Editor General, Mrs. Sheetal Nanda, Commissioner Secretary, Social Welfare Department, Jammu and Kashmir, Government, Ms. Saludable, Chief Child Protection, UNICEF India, Judicial Officers, Mr. Achal Sethi, Law Secretary, Command of Duty, JNK, Registrar General, and ladies and gentlemen, those who are present in this August gathering and those who are joining through virtual. A very good morning to all. At the outset, I extend my warm felicitation to all the dignitaries present in this August gathering. I consider it my personal privilege to be the part of this today's state level consultation organization organized by the Junior Justice Committee of High Court of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, on the direction of the Junior Justice Committee, Supreme Court of India, in association with the Social Welfare Department, J&K government, and UT of Ladakh, and supported by UNICEF. This state level consultation, which has been conceptualized under the grand vision of Honorable Justice S. Ravindra Bhatt, Judge, Supreme Court of India, and Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee of Supreme Court of India, and programmed under the patronage of the Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Muhammad Magre, Chief Justice High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, has provided an opportunity to bring in multiple stakeholders together and for engaging them in meaningful academic discourse, for taking stock at the ground level, identifying strategic actions and taking functional changes for more effective implementation of POSCO Act. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased and gratified that Chief Justice Ali Muhammad Magre is with us today to guide us in this consultation, despite his busy schedule and multifarious commitments. We all know that cause of child rights and child protection sit at the heart of Lordship, and under his stewardship, JJC has organized 4 round-table conferences so far with the support of UNICEF in the year 2017, 18, 19, and 2021, with the primary objective of establishing a dialogue between the stakeholders on the challenges, initiative, reforms, and the futuristic strategies for effective implementation of the legislative enactment concerning children at the ground level. This year, the timing of the consultation could not have been better. Children's Day, which is very near, that is the 14th of November. Therefore, this special conference is, so far I am concerned, I have been privileged to organize along with my colleague brother, Justice Oswal and Justice Adam Chaudhary. Miss Heralded and Mrs. Sheetal Nanda, both of them have mentioned with respect to the object and importance of the object of the act, and also they have time and again mentioned in their speeches that the awareness is more required, especially the child's. I agree with their observation and opinion. I requested especially the Social Welfare Department, because this is the implementation of the act. This is the department who should be in the front. At least I request them to arrange many these awareness conferences, especially with the students who are studying at university levels, college levels, school levels, because we are, especially in India, we are living in a society where the children, the girls especially, who are the victim of this sexual abuses, are shying to come forward for complaining. Therefore, the awareness, especially with the children, are more required. And you should not, the department, especially the social welfare department, should not, wait for this, organizing a conference at the state level. They in their own level, at least minimum once in a month, should be conducted awareness programs in the schools. Without because this is for the first time, I'm having the opportunity for, conducting such type of the conferences. So I give once again thanks to the Chief Justice who has given me the opportunity. And I do hope the opportunity should be given to each and everyone so as to more and more explore and the awareness can be conducted so as to implement the POSCO Act in its spirit and its as per the object of the legislation. So we have to learn more about this, schemes, and I expect the Chief Justice may advise us to conduct more and more such type of the program, so we can at least avail my lord's experience, especially in this field. I remember from 2013, our evaluations, right from our evaluation, my lord is associated with this Juvenile Justice Committee. So without taking much time, everyone is eager to hear my lord the Chief Justice, who can share his experiences, and we expect and we hope my lord will also advise us to carry forward such type of, forward to conduct more and more conferences. With this, I thanks once again to everyone who are participating physically as well as joining through virtual. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. The insightful words of Doctor shall steer all efforts in the direction of child care and child protection. I now request Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, Registrar General, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, to present souvenir to Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Muhammad Mahbub, Chief Justice, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doctor. I now request Mr. Shahzad Azim, Director, Jammu and Kashmir Judicial Academy, to present the souvenir to Honorable Mr. Justice Tashi Rapstan, Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doctor. I request Mr. Tanveer Dar, Child Protection Specialist, UNICEF India, to present souvenir to Ms. Sheetal Nanda, Commissioner Secretary, Department of Social Welfare, Government of JNK. Thank you. I request Ms. Rajni Sharma, Special Mobile Magistrate Traffic Jammu, to present souvenir to Ms. Soledad Ferrero, Chief of Child Protection, UNICEF India. Thank you, ma'am. May I now have the honor of inviting Honorable Mr. Justice Ali Mohammad Maki, Chief Justice, High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, for lodge his inaugural address.
Brother Justice Kashi Ravastan, Chairperson of High Court Juvenile Justice Committee, my sister and brother judges, Mr. D.C. Rana, Advocate General, Ms. Sheetal Nanda, the Commissioner Secretary to Government Social Welfare Department, UT of BRD, Ms. Soledad Ferrero, Chief of Child Protection, UNICEF India, Mr. H.L. Sethi, Secretary, Department of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Registrar General Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, officers of the registry, judicial officers participating in this consultation program from all over the UT of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, the juvenile justice boards, child welfare committees, UNICEF representatives, all the stakeholders from the school education department, social welfare department, police department, and the NGOs representing in this consultation process. Very good morning to all. I remember that after my elevation to the bench in 2013, immediately I had an opportunity to share the bench with then Chief Justice of High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, Honorable Mr. Justice M.L. Kumar, in the newly bench. So one public interest litigation was filed seeking implementation of, because the government of Jammu and Kashmir had made the law on the juvenile subject, protections to the juveniles, in the year 2013 itself. The PIL was filed that there is no implementation. So the division bench entertained the PIL. We started examining the provisions of the law. The first difficulty for implementation was that the government had not notified the rules. The government had not even notified the date of appointed date for enforcement of the act. So that PIL is still pending. Whatever achievements, whatever the object of that legislation, beautiful legislation for the children. Children, those in conflict with law, and the children who need care and protection. While seeking status of the implementation in the successive years, I remained also part of that bench for 13, 14, 15, 16. But in the meanwhile, I was made as the chairperson of the Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court, and another opportunity. I had also already derived the feedback of the drawback of the non-implementation of the beautiful law. Therefore, we started step by step. The first step was that why these juveniles commit crime? And the second subject, that those who really are victims of circumstances, they need care and protection. This was under the guidance of the committee, Supreme Court Juvenile Justice Committee, that time headed by Justice Madan Lakur. He had very close patient for the children. Children were dearer to him. Therefore, not only from the administrative side, while being as the chairperson of the committee, but from the judicial side also. The matter was taken from judicial side and judgments of those dealing with all the concern of these children. During all this time, we had taken on board the stakeholders. The main stakeholder is the government and its functionaries, like we are today taking them on board. This is another opportunity the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir of Ladakh is proud of to have this credit for seeking consultation on the subject of implementation of this POSCO Act. The progression of the world is not possible unless child is well taken care. And then that well taken care is that as a child, so the nation. This care starts from where? This care starts from home. First, care by the parents. But you know the circumstances. We had an occasion while this all was happening in Jammu and Kashmir. The juveniles, those in conflict with law, we had thought of, it was my initiative, to organize one-day conference in the north of Kashmir to bring on parents of those juveniles in conflict with law. The juveniles who need care and protection. And those juveniles, those children who excelled because of the proper guidance by the parents, proper education by the school education department, proper reformation by the society. We brought them on one table. Look here, the one who is pelting stones is a misguided youth. And from the same adjacent area, we had brought the other children, those who are excellent in medical, in engineering, in other fields of the life. So that was a consultative process only to ensure not only among us those children only, but the consultation was among the parents, the school heads. Because you know, immediately when you come out of the home, the first step of the children is, it is the school education department. School education department has to take steps for shaping the career of the children. Consultative processes has very important role of this school wherever children have already. We are here because holding some positions. And that is possible only because our parents have guided us properly. Our school teachers have with full dedication, devotion, made an endeavor and effort that this, of course, is duty, is as a mission, is a divine duty. I have educated this child who one day becomes the Prime Minister of India or the Chief Justice of India or holds many other areas like a very good doctor. You know how much we are stressed presently? There are so many ailments. We can produce good doctors. It's only possible when we take care of these children. So we have to go around, not only in this auditorium only, we'll take consultation for 2 days. This consultation should reach to my village, far off area of Ladakh. The result of this consultation should reach to every habitation, village, town, city, all around. Then we will say that yes, we really have achieved something. There are so many subjects I have seen all along. These 2 days will be deliberating upon. But net result will be more we have to concentrate on preventive measures. Those are already remedial. One of the child victim becomes a victim of the circumstances or he is abused sexually. Then we'll say, now the victim, what steps are to be taken for ensuring the victim comes forward as is happening now. Earlier days, the less number of cases was because the victim were not coming forward. Because you know the societal backgrounds. They're ashamed of whatever has happened. But nowadays, the trend has changed. So rise in the registration of the cases is a positive step. That positive step, we have only made an exercise and have given full strength to the one who follows the victim of this or victim of this crime. Therefore, what is required is that in this consultation process, we have to more trust on preventive measures, more trust on consultation, more trust on educating the children whose rights are guaranteed under the provisions of the Constitution of India and the law. Those rights we have not to discuss here. I'll only give you some figures which makes you aware about what has happened in the education. This I'll read for 5 minutes and thereafter I may only request all of you that those who are the stakeholders here, including this resource person, I'm thankful to those resource persons. Some of them I know because all along these consultative processes from the year 2017, my brother, Justice Tashi Dabistan, who is now taking over the reins of this United Committee, I am confident that whatever we could not achieve will be achieved during this year. That will be a progression for the children of the Jammu and Kashmir. So, and with the support of UNICEF, we are thankful to UNICEF as and when we called for the support of UNICEF, they were ahead and supported for the cause of the children. We are also thankful to the government of Jammu and Kashmir all along, right from 2014 onwards, notifying the rules for the juveniles and this POSCO. Earlier there was no law, this 2012 Act made by the Parliament of India. We had a different scheme of law here. So the first thing happened in Jammu and Kashmir in 2018. It's only because of that Kutwa incident. The ordinance was passed by the government of Jammu and Kashmir. That ordinance made us to make the designate courts give power to all the sessions courts with the so far as the implementation of the powers under the POSCO ordinance is concerned. At that time, there were only 30 cases we had identified. 30 cases. Today we have some about 300 and more cases. Rise is there. But the scheme of law also, my request to the judicial officers, for dealing with this case. First of all, to the investigation agencies. When they register the case, the scheme of law provides that it should be completed the process within 1 year only. If justice delayed, there is no justice. Justice is denied. Therefore, same is the case with the juvenile in conflict with law who gets the benefit of the Juvenile Act. Juvenile Justice Act. The scheme provides that it should be minimum 6 months. But we have the cases, number of cases rising, and juvenile justice boards are there. It was only possible because of the directions passed by the High Court that all the juvenile justice boards, all the CWCs in the Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh were made functional. We had the earlier only the principal magistrate, those who were assigned to the chief judicial magistrate in the scheme of law we had in state, erstwhile state of the Union. Today, we have all the juvenile justice magistrates created the posts, or those juvenile justice magistrates are heading those juvenile justice boards. Those CWC has also a very important role in this subject also. Therefore, they should also realize that. We are also appreciating the steps and the endeavors and the efforts made by all the NGOs connected with the child welfare. There are helplines also. They take benefit of these helplines. These helplines immediately come to the victim, and the results are very positive. Just 2 to 3 minutes, I think, and then I suppose. Is a Jenny Kaur, he has said something about the child. What is the child are? I am the child. All the world waits for my coming. All the earth watches with interest to see what I shall become. Civilization hangs in the balance. For what I am, the world of tomorrow will be. I am the child. You should hold in your hand my destiny. You determine largely whether I shall succeed or fail. Give me, I pray you, these things that makes for happiness. Train me, I beg you, that I may be a blessing to the world. In a place like Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, there has been a significant denial in coming to terms with the rampant sexual abuse that is perpetrated against children in our society. We have collectively buried our heads under the sand, ignoring to address the elephant in the room. A study conducted in Jammu and Kashmir by the Ministry of Women and Child Development in 2007 revealed that 1 in every 2 children is subject to sexual abuse in 1 or more forms before they reach the age of 18. There is enough evidence that abuse happens in our homes, schools, and religious institutions. Numerous cases of sodomy, rape, and gang rapes have come to light over the past 2 years, especially committed by faith healers. Going by the trend observed in India, over the past 2 years, the Union Territory has seen a spike in reporting of child sexual abuse cases, especially after Jammu and Kashmir enacted its own Protection of Children from Sexual Violence Act in December 2018. After a furore following the gang rape, torture, and murder of an 8-year-old girl in Kutwa, Jammu in January 2018. After the revocation of Article 370, the POSCO Act, which was applicable all over India, is now made applicable to UT of J&K and Ladakh, has seen a further spike of 52% in reported child sexual abuse cases by November 2020 compared to 2019. In 2019, 162 cases were reported, over 350% increase from 2018. The POSCO Amendment Act 2019 stipulates that a child sexual abuse case must be disposed of within 1 year from the date of offence is reported. According to the National Crime Records Bureau report, while number of violations against children in 2013 were 75, they went up to 211 in Jammu and Kashmir in 2014. 2 special POSCO courts were accordingly established. One is Jammu and Kashmir Division, which has made it easier to track cases. But under the scheme of Government of India, we had been successful to make 2 more special courts in Kulgam and Ramban. As per the statistics provided by the National Crime Record Bureau, the number of child sexual abuse cases registered in Jammu and Kashmir in 2014 was 211, 30 in 2015, and 25 in 2016, increasing 3443 cases of child sexual abuse reported Jammu and Kashmir between January and November 2022, 20 and 22, according to official data from district child welfare committees assessed by India spent. With the advent of more stringent provisions in law, now the offences under POSCO have been made punishable with death and life imprisonment. But the question that keeps coming up, which I am sure is a matter of concern for all the people here in society at large, is despite the change in law and enactment of a special law, why there is still in steep rise in sexual abuse cases against children over the past few years. According to a report by NCRB, there has been an increase of 350 in sexual abuse cases in J&K over the past decade. The answer is simple, that our morality has degenerated and there is a lack of strict implementation of law to ensure that the culprits are met with the right recourse. Additionally, the exposure to unrestricted content online has impacted the minds of our children in the worst possible ways. The biggest hurdle that exists in a society, especially like J&K, is a massive underreporting of cases. We are still stuck over the idea that the sexual offense committed against a person is also abetted by the victim. UT of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, has a great number of children who are the worst sufferers of poverty, backwardness, non-conformist, violence, natural calamities, and other disadvantages. There is massive lack of awareness regarding the laws that are in force, and also children who are the victims are not met with the right resources to address the issues pertinent to sexual abuse. The National Legal Service Authority compensation scheme for survivors and victims of rape will work as a guideline for special courts toward compensation. The Supreme Court bench had ruled in 2018 and had asked the government to make compensation rules which have been now made notified. But these the paper made, I will hand over this paper to the member secretary of the United States, Tamil Gupta. Much more is only required to ensure, which I at the outset said, that the children who are our future are only shaped the way we all are here shaped. And today we are proud of having this opportunity to make endeavor for for those children who don't have voice. We are their voice. They are voiceless. The Constitution has guaranteed their rights. International conventions have also guaranteed their rights. But those rights are to be protected by us, as has been done by the Parliament also. To ensure this consultative process for 2 days, which is undertaken by the judiciary under the guidance of the Supreme Court of India Juvenile Justice Committee, headed by Justice Ravindra Abad. I am sure also this consultative process for 2 days, which is also guided here by my brother Judge, Justice Tashi Rabastan, will achieve the target for which we all have met here. Thank you and thank you.
Thank you, Lordship. Lordship's inspiring words of wisdom shall guide us in the deliberation of the consultation. I now request Ms. Harvinder Kaur, Mission Director, Directorate of Mission Vatsalya, J&K, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you. At the inaugural session of consultation on the implementation of POSCO Act 2012 in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, I thank Honorable Mr. Justice Mr. Ali Muhammad Magre, Chief Justice of High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh,
Ex-Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee. Sir, we are thankful for your cooperation and guidance given by you while heading this Juvenile Justice Committee. I extend my thanks to Justice Honorable Mr. Justice Tashi
now Chairperson of Juvenile Justice Committee. So we are looking forward for your support and guidance to achieve the desired targets. I thank to all the honorable judges. I thank to all the persons present here. I thank our Commissioner Secretary, Madam Sheetal Nanda, under whose guidance we are trying our better to bring this department and particularly the Vatsalya at such a stage where we can provide justice to each and every child, whether it's a child in need of care and protection or child in conflict with love. I thank to our Advocate General, sir. I thank to Law Secretary, Mr. Rachel Sethi. I extend my vote of thanks to Madam Soledad Herrera, from who is Chief of Child Protection, UNICEF India. I also thank Mr. Tanveer Dar from UNICEF. I extend my thanks to all the participants from different departments who are actually the frontline workers. I thank to all others who are present from judiciary, social welfare and police. I also extend my thanks to all non-governmental organizations or their representatives who are present and to all those who are virtually attending this conference. I end up my vote of thanks with the words that every child is precious and Vatsalya is committed for the welfare of all such children who are in need of care and protection, or for the children who are in conflict with law, so that we prepare them to be a good citizen, so that they also live a better life. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. As we come to the culmination of the inaugural session, I seek the kind permission of the chair to close the proceedings of this session. Thank you, Lordship. I request the participants to please proceed shortly from the rear door of this auditorium. Thank you all.